I know everybody is tired of the Twitter fanatics who just can't shut up about how the Shibuya Arc incident is like the best thing ever. But why is this arc in specific that keeps getting this kind of reputation? What is it that makes people call this their favorite shonen arc of all time? Well guys, this is what we're going to do today. We're going to strip this question naked by doing a thorough breakdown of the Shibuya Incident arc, and although there will be references to the upcoming arcs, you guys don't have to worry much about it when it comes to spoilers. Well then, let's talk about it. My name is TK, let's get into some anime. Now guys, the Shibuya Incident is where Jujutsu Kaisen reaches its boiling point. Everything that was being built up since the events of the Hidden Inventory arc, the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero movie, as well as the story arcs of the first season, all of it delivers in this arc, and the way it does is simply breathtaking. It doesn't even matter if you consider the Shibuya arc to be among the best shonen arcs ever written, because even if we're talking about it from an objective and indifferent point of view, it is easy to see how modern day shonen peaks in this arc particularly. Notice how I use the term modern day? Still, what happened here is something special. It is 58 manga chapters or 18 anime episodes worth of non-stop and brutal, absolutely mind-blowing reveals, plot developments, and character progressions. You see, shonen anime has this stereotype where there is a limit to how dark and messed up things can get, but Jujutsu Kaisen did not have that limit. Not today. Just consider how Nanako and Mimiko died. Just raw, unadulterated, and unapologetic violence. The author does not care about your feelings. Gege is going to grab your heart, put it in a blender, and make a smoothie out of it. I mean, who are we kidding? Isn't this how the arc started in the first place? It started with Mekamaru finally getting a proper body, but then getting killed by Mahito anyways. Seriously, the arc starts with us seeing a precious character's dreams crumble right in front of him. On the day of the incident, October 31st to be more precise, Satoru Gojo arrives at the scene and confronts the special grade curses. Of course he can destroy all of them no problem, but that would also mean killing every single human in the vicinity. Not pleasant at all, but Gojo still shows us why he's the GOAT. He starts by casually exercising Hanami, and then goes on to use his domain expansion for only 0.2 seconds. That is barely even a moment, and yet it was enough time for him to incapacitate every single being on the platform. Unfortunately, by the time he is done with all of the transfigured humans on the scene, the fake Geto arrives with the prison realm. Now this is why it was so important to do the Hidden Inventory flashback before the Shibuya incident. The sheer amount of confusion on Gojo's face as he sees Geto and his 6 eyes starts running on all cylinders. It wouldn't have been nearly as powerful if the Hidden Inventory arc didn't happen right before the Shibuya incident arc. Bro was truly flabbergasted, and it makes sense why he was caught off guard and sealed in the prison realm. And just like how Gojo's birth shifted the balance of the world, him being sealed also changes the world, almost instantly. Everything that was being kept in check just explodes all at once. Gojo getting himself sealed is still just the beginning of the arc, but the story has already peaked twice by this point. Moving on, we have the 3 curse users who were protecting the curse, and I'd agree that this wasn't among the most interesting parts of the arc, even though we have Yuji and Megumi fighting together against Jiro. But the part where Granny brings back Toshi Fushiguro, he kills her because, well, she wanted him to kill sorcerers just like her, and she was no exception. I guess this is what happens when you mess around and find out. But as far as narrative consistency goes, the Granny part works well to further elaborate on how different the world was before Gojo's birth. Perfect time to do this because Gojo has just been sealed. There's Nobata's fight with Shigemo, and then there's Nanami's interaction with the guy as well. This is one of the highlights of the anime because just look at how brutal and unhinged Nanami is as he completely destroys Shigemo. It's not a fight, it's not even a massacre. It's just a guy taking out a half-empty trash can. Yuji and Choso come face to face with each other, while Nanami and then the Zunin team fight Dagon. Megumi also shows up, but ultimately it's Toji who pulls up and proceeds to destroy Dagon. Meanwhile, Choso glitches and remembers a memory that sends his brain into a frenzy, while Nanako and Mimiko start feeding Yuji those fingers. Then you have Jogo pulling up and feeding him even more fingers until the total number of fingers within Yuji's body comes out to be 15. And what happens next is pure, indiscriminate horror. Or maybe not indiscriminate because, you know, Sukuna has always had a soft spot for Megumi, but still, he kills Nanako and Mimiko as naturally as he breathes. He humiliates Jogo, but then tells him to stand proud before burning him to death. And something interesting I found about this fight is how the 3 disaster curses died. Hanami was exorcised by the strongest sorcerer alive, Dagon was killed by the strongest human without cursed energy, and Jogo was done in by the king of curses himself. Following this, the story takes us to Megumi's kamikaze attempt and how Sukuna intervenes to save Megumi. We also learn about how what makes Sukuna's domain expansion so special in the sense that he doesn't even need a barrier to activate and maintain it. He can just open his domain and cook an entire area until literally nothing remains, and it'll happen as a side effect of his relentless domain. Maharaga gets cooked, but the entire area also gets cooked and packed up as well. And when Yuji gets his body back, he blames himself for what happened. And if it wasn't already as heartbreaking as it could be, you have Kento Nanami's death, and then you have Nobara's alleged death right afterwards. This is where we're going to pause for a sec and talk about just how impressive of a villain Mahito is. He's just that guy. It's hard to imagine a better narrative foil to Yuji's character. Seriously, he played his role perfectly, and his speech about how he and Yuji are so different was brilliant. Which brings us to the next part of the arc, the one where Yuji and Todo fight against him. This might as well be the best fight in the entire story, and I say this as someone who is up to date with the manga as well. The way Yuji finds himself completely broken down and devastated, and how he still manages to pick himself up thanks to Todo, and it's not just Yuji growing either, Mahito also evolves. And when it's all said and done, you have the moment where Yuji is just like, yeah, I am you. Yuji destroys Mahito's reasoning by saying that who the hell cares? He's just gonna kill him now. He does not need a reason or meaning or anything to it. It's just going to happen. This is such satisfying and brilliant writing when you consider the entire story between them. How Mahito is the one who has taken the most from Yuji. He killed Junpei, he killed Nanami, and while I respect everyone's cope, Nobara is also dead as well. And yet Yuji still manages to reach this level of clarity. It's almost frightening how good this moment was. Which is why it was definitely disappointing when he's not the one who ultimately kills Mahito. That is my biggest gripe with the Shibuya Incident arc. He should have been the one to pack up Mahito in the end, but also I understand why it didn't happen. After all, the story needed to establish Kenjaku as the actual villain of the story. But let's come back to the Shibuya Incident arc for a few more minutes. What made the Shibuya Incident so raw and wild is that it was actually treated like an incident. Nobody had any idea what was going to happen next, who was going to die, and who was going to come back, and even who is who. Just think about it. Sukuna is understandable. We all knew it was only a matter of time and inevitable for Sukuna to cause the havoc and massacre he is so fond of. But how many of us could have foreseen that Toji will not only come back, but he will also destroy a disaster level curse and play around with his son? Who knew Chozo of all people would turn out to be Yuji's actual brother? Megumi's kamikaze attempt was pretty surprising too. It was also kind of stupid considering how Haruta Shigemo is just a wuss, but let's give our boy the benefit of the doubt. Heck, even sentimental scenes like when Mekamaru bid farewell to Miwa were unusually devastating. The thing is, the Shibuya Incident not only hurts you with all the deaths and the pain, it also surprises you with plot points you simply couldn't have anticipated. Is it the best shonen arc? Of course not. But you have to understand that fanboys usually blow things out of proportion when it comes to their favorite scenes. But then again, it doesn't matter if it's the best. Although from what we have seen, it is still the arc where modern day shonen actually does peak. Now, for the last section of our video, let's do a little bit of thematic analysis. At its core, the Shibuya Incident shows us how fragile the Jujutsu society is. We'll also be talking about this in a future video on the three families, how the societal order in Jujutsu Kaisen can crumble so easily. In hindsight, it was Gojo who was reigning in both sides. He was the deterrent that stopped the curses from taking over. He was the one that scared away all the curse users, and he was also the individual who kept the higher-ups from killing people like Yuji and Yuta. In a way, Gojo getting sealed is aesthetical to the fall of Jujutsu society, and we see it happen firsthand in the story arcs that follow. But the question is, was Gojo right? What if he had destroyed Geto's corpse after killing him? Kenjaku wouldn't have been able to take over. What if he let Yuji be executed? Sukuna wouldn't have been resurrected. We have to understand that the societal order of the Jujutsu society was kept by maintaining the status quo and taking out potential threats immediately. It was not ideal, but it made sense. But again, as we will talk about in a future video on the three families, the higher-ups don't make any sense either. Another way to look at it is how battle shonen stories don't work unless you dumb them down. And if you want to get even more poetic, the Shibuya Incident is the thematic climax of not just the Jujutsu society, but also the story as a whole. After all, it hasn't been as good as the Shibuya Incident for a while now. Just kidding, guys. The calling games also have plenty to offer, and if you want, we can cover it in a feature video. I mean, we haven't even talked about Yuki, Yuta, Yuji's family, and several other rabbit holes. As for this video, what do you guys think of this arc? What do you think of Jujutsu Kaisen as a whole? Come on, guys. We're going to continue this conversation in the comments down below, and let me know any thoughts or opinions. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Otherwise, Maito may leave a finger under your bed. Nah, just kidding. He's dead. Alright, I'll see you guys on the next video. Bankai, Senbon Zakura, Kageyoshi.